Soccer can be a fickle game. Sometimes you get outshot 16-8 and you win 3-0 like the Washington Spirit did 2 weeks ago at Western New York. And then sometimes you hit the post, you miss a few you normally make, you put up 16 shots, you finish the game a player up, and you still settle for the 0-0 tie like the Spirit did last week against Portland. First place is on the line again tonight as the Spirit try to match the longest unbeaten streak in franchise history. On the other side, the Houston Dash are off to their best start ever and could potentially grab the top spot for themselves with 3 points in a place they've never won before. Hello, Michael Minnick alongside Daniel Mulligary under rainbow here at the Maryland Soccerplex. And Danielle, last week was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Even for a 0-0 tie, I haven't seen many things that happened in that game.
Sure. I mean, having the two teams that we had last week with Portland and Spirit, we knew it was going to be an exciting game, and I think every single person here got their money's worth, including us.
Tobin Heath gets 2 yellows. The Spirit really were on the front foot after she was sent off.
Yes.
Christine Nairn had 2 chances she normally puts away, dealing with the foot injury. Jim Gabera told us before the game today that he didn't want to play her last week, but thought, well, maybe they'll get that one free kick or that one chance they could win a game.
Sure.
And it happened. She just couldn't wait.
Yes, Christine Nairn has been clutch, when it comes down to the waning minutes of any game that she's in, so why not sub her in for the last 10, 15 minutes like they did last week?
And then Crystal Dunn scores, has it disallowed on an offside call, hits the post as well. She had not recorded a shot on goal before last week, but she was back to her active self.
Oh,
here
yes.
at the Plex
Oh,
last
yes. Yep. And I'm sure being held scoreless in the last couple of games, she's excited to maybe put one in the back of the net this evening.
Let's go through the lineups for you. First, for Randy Waldron and the visiting Houston Dash, it's Lydia Williams in goal. A back four left to right of Alicia Chapman. Becca Moras coming back to the Plex where she started her pro career. Carrie Riccaro gets her first professional start, and then Pauliana is the right back. In the midfield, it's Morgan Bryan, the U.S. International, alongside Amber Brooks and Andresa. And up top for the Dash, it's Rachel Daly next to the captain, Kaylee Ohai, and then the defending League Player of the Week, Shioma Abugagu.
That's going to be a tongue twister for us this evening.
For the Spirit, Stephanie LeBay starts in goal. Alyssa Kleiner, Shalina Zadorsky, Megan Oyster, and Ali Cougar across the back as they have been all year.
Yeah, they've been a solid back line for the Spirit, and I'm sure we're going to see some good things out of them this evening.
In the midfield, Christine Nairn returns with a slightly different pronunciation. She clarified that for the masses on YouTube this week. Tori Huster and Joanna Lohman, her partners again after a 1 week absence in that group. And up front, Diana Matheson returns to that front running position on the left. Callie Farquharson starts the second straight week, and then there's Crystal Dunn.
And with both of these lineups, I think what we're going to see is just a battle in the midfield. Both midfields are incredibly strong, have a ton of experience, so it'll be a good matchup this evening.
You see the Spirit bench there on the screen, and I think these are the 2 deepest teams in the league. When you can bring the likes of, a Katie Stengel, a Shayna Williams on one side, and then a Janine Becky on the other side, that's a lot to pull from.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. And even a Benini, who started last week and had, I think, a solid performance for the Spirit. So I think both sides are very deep and, should be exciting later on in the game when these substitutions are made.
Spirit enter plate tonight on top of the table with a 3-0-1 record. Chicago did match them in points last night with their 0-0 draw against FC Kansas City. Then it's Portland, the Spirit's opponent last week, on 8. This Houston team tied with Sky Blue FC for the last playoff spot as it stands now, very earlier in the season with 7. Orlando off to a good start in their first year, 2-2. Seattle, the defending Shield winners, also at 2-2. Western New York off to a solid start as they try and rebuild under Paul Riley. And then it's the defending champions, FC Kansas City, without a win in their first 5 games.
Sure, and they're still a very solid team. Obviously, they have a lot of retirements that have happened, some players leaving the program. But, they always seem to come around towards the end of the season, so maybe they can continue to build off of kind of the things, the base that they have now to continue to improve.
Boston still searching for their first goal of the year after losing 1-0 at Sky Blue FC last week. They're on the bottom of the table. Tonight is 3 matches. This one kicks it off, and it's Western New York at Orlando at 7:30. And then the nightcap be Tobin Heathless, Portland Thorns at Seattle.
Yeah, I know, and we talked about this last week. How is it going to affect the Thorns that Tobin Heath was not in the lineup? But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how they'll do against Seattle this evening.
So the 11s again for Houston, it's Williams in goal, Chapman, Moros, Riccaro, and Pauliana across the back, Brian Brooks and Andresa in the midfield, Daly, Ohai, and Abugagu up top. For the Spirit, it's LeBay in goal, Kleiner, Zadorsky, Oyster, and Krieger across the back, Nairn, Huster, and Lohman in midfield, Matheson, Farquharson, and Dunn up top. Elvis Mamutovic has the middle tonight. He worked 2 Spirit games last year, the 2-2 tie at Portland on May the 9th, and the 3-2 loss at Western New York 2 weeks later. He did call a penalty kick for the Spirit in that game, which Christine Nairn buried. ARs tonight, Diliana Kwan and Ben Pilgrim. Christopher Burns is the fourth official. Captains Keely Ojai and Allie Krieger meeting at midfield. And Ojai, a younger player, Danielle. She comes in, just 24 years old, but captaining this side with Carly Lloyd out.
Yeah, I mean, that goes for the same with Tori Huster last
Yep.
year. She captained the first couple of games, of the season. But if you're a consistent starter and a great presence on the field, regardless of the age, it's worth giving them the captain's band.
You see on the screen there something that's different from the Spirit, wearing the whites at home tonight.
Yeah.
I imagine that's just because Houston's colorful blue and orange kit clashes with the Spirit's
Maybe.
normal navy and red. So the Spirit in the road kits tonight playing at home.
I know, we're certainly not used to that here, but, I like the change of pace for this evening.
First 10 minutes of this game, a couple keys for both teams. What does Houston need to do out of the gate, and what does the Spirit need to do?
I think for the Spirit, obviously with the opportunities they had last week against Portland, finishing their chances, they had a lot of great opportunities. They just weren't able to capitalize. I think for Houston Dash, especially the back line, slowing Crystal Dunn down. Crystal Dunn has had some great games against Houston Dash, especially last year where she had her hat trick in the first half against the Dash. So I think the Dash really need to focus on how they're going to slow Crystal Dunn down and keep her scoreless in this game.
Spirit Squadron, good voice as we wait for the starting whistle to this one from Elvis. Brian in the center circle with Andresa. Underway at the Plex. Houston attacking Spirit Hill here in the first half. Early touch from Morgan Bryan, who missed out on the two trips for Houston to DC last year. One, she was with the national team, and the other one just had a family issue, could not make it. So her first start here, and a player I'm very excited to see in person again.
Yeah, and honestly, the last time I've seen her play in person was when the U.S. Women's National Team was here to play Mexico. And I think she scored her first U.S. Women's National Team goal there as well.
She did.
It was quite exciting. I remember being in the stands, and her parents stood up and just embraced one another and said, this has been worth it, seeing what she was able to do.
Her college teammates at Virginia there as well. Short corner from Houston towards the far post into the sun as the clouds have parted there for a second, and Ojai able to track that one. Will be out for a throw-in for the Spirit in the first minute. Lohman off the turnover. Matheson opening up to the left. She'll get the ball. An early touch for her. Do against Pauliana. Huster now. Nice ball out left to work in Kleiner. Spear on the front foot with Alyssa Kleiner. Left footed ball inside for Lohman. Her first touch is heavy and it's cleared. Moros there with the vital touch. And now the Spirit center back. Oyster under pressure from Daly will drop it back to LeBay, who just gets that one away in time. Does concede a throw in though. These are two teams, Danielle, that I think the outside backs getting forward are going to be a big key tonight. Both teams like to get that out of their outside backs.
Yeah, and last week watching the Houston game against FCKC, Chapman really likes to attack out of the back as well, so that'll be a good matchup on the right side of the field for the Spirit.
On cue, it's Krieger playing Farquharson on the right side, picked up by Rebecca Moros. And conceding the throw is Moros, who started her pro career here, first with the W League Freedom and then with the WPS edition under Jim Gabera.
Yeah, it's always great. I gave her a hug before the game because her and I were teammates back in 2007-8 with the Freedom, and I always said, regardless of where you play, it's always home when you're here. I love having Becca Morris back here at the Soccerplex. It's always great to see her.
Andresa starting the attack for Houston, finding the feet of Morgan Bryan. Goes left now for Ojai. Excuse me, that was Daly playing it through for Ojai, and she was offside. Free kick will come the Spirit's way.
And that's surprising that, the Spirit actually held a very high back line in that moment. They didn't really start dropping. Maybe that's a little bit of a game plan this evening for them. See if they can get Daly and Ojai offsides with their speed going forward.
Matheson, pressured by Morgan Bryan. Two CONCACAF rivals doing battle. Now Krieger for Nairn at the top of the 18. Nairn working it in for Farquharson. Pass off the mark intended for Nairn, and Morgan Bryan will start the other way. Here's Daly. behind Bryan, sliding in as Matheson popped up and brought down by Tori Huster. Fought for again with Andresa. Won by Lohman. She'll find a little bit of real estate for Krieger. Nairn. Dunn wants it short. Defending MVP will get it. Under pressure from Recaro. We'll go back to that in a second. Krieger playing it into the box for Matheson. Right. For Farquharson. Now for goal kick. Talking to Randy Waldron before this game, Danielle, I mentioned, half jokingly, is there a way to stop Crystal Dunn? And he said, we did it once. When I was at Notre Dame, we had Carrie Recaro chase her the entire game. And
exactly.
Guess what? Here we are again.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what this matchup is like tonight with Recaro and Dunn. But what a good story for her. I forget where I read it or which article or source I read it from, but just a good article about how she struggled with her injury her senior year in college with the torn labrum and finally being able to figure it out. That's a hard injury to come back from.
A couple places, but Keeper Notes is the one that I read on that topic. Here's Kleiner crossing it in behind Matheson, behind everybody in white. And Bryan getting the other way. Yeah, going back to Recaro, played through our sports hernia, our labral tear, and a bone spur last year.
Yeah.
Oyster for Krieger. Huster now. Short for Lohman. Gets it back. The chemistry between this midfield group, Danielle, has been very good, and you'd expect that for players that have played together for multiple years, but I think this is the threesome that has worked the best for the Spirit, where Matheson can push up top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were talking pregame. I like Matheson anywhere on the field, whether she's attacking mid or forward. I do like her when she's in that attacking midfield role because she's able to slot balls through, but with Nairn back in there.
Nairn from deep, and she scored one like that last year against FC Kansas City. Couldn't quite pull it off this time.
Yeah, and that's something that Randy Waldron talked about pregame. Was he said we need to stop Christine Nairn from hitting these 30-yard blazers into the back of the net. She's done it before and clearly trying it again.
Yeah, I joked with him. I said, what do you have to do to end this league as the Dash have never won here? He said, don't let Christine Nairn get a free kick in the last few minutes and keep Crystal Dunn in front of you.
Yep.
It's good tips for anybody really playing the Spirit. Recaro losing that battle as it goes off of Dunn for a Dash throw. Just the one corner for Houston early, no shots on goal, but it's been a entertaining game between the 18s so far. Here's Krieger. Drop back for Oyster. And all the way back to Stephanie LeBay. LeBay will be the co-subject of our halftime feature tonight, along with her Canadian teammate Shalina Zadorsky. You can get to know those two players a little bit more. And then we'll be joined by the illustrious Stephen Goff of the Washington Post, our halftime guest tonight. Been a busy week with his beat. Great feature on Diana Matheson on the front page of the Washington Post sports section today, and also breaking the news that maybe I believe it'll be the final filming for the Olympics will be at RFK Stadium. So we'll talk to him about that and more at the break. Matheson now. One of the things that stuck out to me about the Matheson features, we'll come back to that after Dunn's possession here, was that Diana Matheson said that in the future she'd love to run an NWSL club in Canada, in her native Canada. So might be GMD math in a couple years.
Big goals for her, and that's great to see.
Lohman. Left for Dunn. Trying to get a step on Recaro. Runs out of space though, and it's out for goal kick.
I don't think I've ever seen Crystal Dunn taking a first touch that she hasn't been able to catch up to.
I was just going to say that's a rare mistake for Crystal Dunn in that situation. Oh, hi. Abugagu playing it through. Good ball, too. A heavy touch from Daly. She has to double back, and Nairn's there to swoop in and win possession for the Spirit. Poliana with the steal. Work from Andresa to evade some trouble. Bryan now. He'll head off her shoulder as is Abu Gagu. She'll get it here. Andressa with space, chipping it through. Nice idea there to try and pick up Morgan Bryan, but Zadorsky in a good position will chip it out for a throw.
I think that easily could have been a little bit of a handball by Zadorsky. Looked like it popped off of her knee into her hand, dropped her foot.
Bryan unable to find a teammate there, and another conversation we had with Randy Waldron pregame was about Morgan Bryan, who is trying to really fight her way back to 90 minutes fitness. She's dealt with a couple injuries very early in the season. Was subbed at the half last week. But certainly, I think with Carly Wood out, she's the engine of this team along with Andressa.
And what I love about what Randy said pregame was that he understands her role with the national team, and he's protecting her for that as well. He's not going to force her to play here if she's incapable of playing. So I really like the fact that the club coaches are trying to protect their national team players.
Of course, the number 1 draft pick last year and won the Golden Ball in CONCACAF Olympic qualifying for the U.S. Played very, very well, obviously, and I think she carried that form over as well to the She Believes Cup, where she was a big part of the U.S. winning that tournament.
Right.
Nairn out for Allie Krieger, who runs that ball down, has Oyster in support, and will use her. Megan Oyster starting for the 37th straight time in her career. She's played every minute of every game in the U.S. and in Australia since being brought in from UCLA. Lydia Williams will slow it down, and we mentioned Roquero's recovery. Lydia Williams has done really well after that torn ACL in 2014 for Western New York. Worked her way back in the Australian W League last year and earned a contract with the Dash, and she's been very, very good for Randy Waldron's club this year. Outside of the football from Brooks. Abu Gagu can't run it down, and it'll be a spirit throw. Been impressed with Houston's start, especially in the light of how many players they brought in this year, Danielle, where just about half the starting lineup is brand new to this club. Here's Dunn. Trying to split the defenders, nearly does so, does pick it up on the other side. Drops it back for Matheson. Farquharson available short, instead they'll go long, and Nairn zigged when she should have zagged, and that'll come all the way through to Williams.
Just a slight miscommunication between Matheson and Nairn.
But you look at Nairn. Yes.
All right.
So it's kind of like a 2-syllable instead of one syllable.
Been here 3 years now. Now we got it.
Ball played over the top, looking for Rachel Dalian out of space. But you look at Williams, Moros, Roquero, Pollyanna, Brooks, Daly, Abu Gagu, all new to this Houston team this year.
And we've seen other teams do it. We saw Seattle do it a couple years ago, adding a ton of new players to the roster and being incredibly successful.
The Spirit have done it on the fly really in the previous 2 years, not so much this year. And it took a couple weeks. Definitely took that first week as Matheson's fouled hard. Free kick for the Spirit, and that's it. No booking.
Seeing as that's the first hard foul of the game, I wouldn't expect to see a booking.
Oyster charging forward. Still Oyster on the ball. Pressure by Ojai, and finally dispossessed by Ojai.
She looking like old school Oyster, where she really liked to, at the beginning of her rookie year, really take a dribble out of the back. I just think she just had no options there.
And of course, her junior at UCLA got the game-winning assist on the College Cup final on a play just like that. Dunn with the steal. Left for Matheson in space. Can she run it down? Yes. Right-footed cross towards the far post, towards Nairn, rising for it. She can't bring it down cleanly. Krieger there in support, though. Good first touch from Allie Krieger. Fakes the cross. Now I'll drop it back for Nairn. Just a heavy touch there, and Morgan Bryan limping after that collision. So play will stop on the foul, and just a hard contact there. Nothing really dirty, but Morgan Bryan looks to be walking it off.
Yeah. Just, an unlikely big touch from Nairn in that moment, and she just tried to make the tackle.
Had a little bit of a shower right at kickoff. Does that change the field a little bit where you might get a little bit more of a roll or a bounce, or not enough?
I don't think so.
Pollyanna winning the header. Andressa fighting for it. And fouled by Tori Huster. Something that surprised me, Danielle, out of that game last week. We had 25 fouls called, and none were on Tori Huster, whose job it is to break up play. Ball in. LeBay off her line will make her first real meaningful touch of this one. 13 minutes in.
But Tori Huster's a smart player. She doesn't really find herself in, I don't think, that many bad situations where she's having to make those bad tackles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a credit to the job that she did, where you have such a physical game, and your D-mid doesn't really have to break up play that much. Throw for the dash. This has been Houston's MO this year. There's only been 2 goals scored in the first half, 1 for them and 1 against them through 4 matches this year. The second half's when they've made their head. Dunn off the mark there, and a goal kick will come Houston's way.
It looked like, Crystal Dunn obviously did a great job at just gaining possession of the ball in that tackle, but the ball was just slightly underneath her body there. She wasn't able to get a good strike on frame.
Of course, the positive side of that 0-0 draw for the Spirit is they did keep a shutout. It's their second straight, and already their 3rd of the year. They've never had 3 straight shutouts, so trying to set a new mark tonight.
And not only is that, huge for LeBay, but this back line is really, really meshing well. I think, Oyster obviously played a huge role last season, and then Krieger coming back to the back. I think it's just a great back line altogether.
Matheson now go to work against Pollyanna. Into the 18 goes the Canadian. Drops it for Naren. Good tackle coming back from Morgan Bryan. Spirit wanted to try it again, but it's Rachel Daly all the way over on the opposite side, clearing the ball. 2 balls on the field for the moment, but play will continue. Dunn with a good cross towards the far post, towards Farkas, and just a little too tall for the rookie. And all the way through for a throw-in. It's a nice situation to be Callie Farkas in, where you've got Crystal Dunn on one side of you and Diana Matheson on the other.
Yeah. I think I'd be nervous in my rookie season having those players around me.
Bay with a deft chip to work Allie Krieger in on the far side. Another nice chip to find Huster. Nearly given away to Ojai, though. And it will be the Dash getting possession in the end. Andressa battling Farkason. That will go the Spirit's way. Andressa putting her case for a foul, but I don't think there's a lot of evidence for that case.
No, it was a clean tackle all around.
Huster chipping it forward, really nobody home as Farkason was back defending. Dash will work it back to Lydia Williams. Rocaro. Williams. Now chipped left. Bugagu had switched sides and can't be Ali Krieger to that ball. So now it's Daly on the right, Bugagu on the left. Ojai standing in the middle of that front 3. Daly now on the ball, trying to get the better of Alyssa Kleiner. Well, Houston's throw.
What I really like what Houston is doing is they're really making the Spirit play out of the back. They're really putting a good amount of pressure, on the back 4, on LeBay, seeing what they can develop out of the back, and it's allowing them to keep the possession on this half of the field. If they're able to win it, if Dash are able to win it on this side, they'll have a lot of numbers around the ball.
Farkason can keep that one in play with Chapman marking her, and it will be a Dash throw. Of course, Carly Lloyd out for the Dash. Is Melissa Henderson also on the injury report, but close to returning for the Dash according to Randy Waldron this week, but nearly giving it away to Ojai, and Oyster does keep it in play for Krieger. Nice job there, but Spirit with just 1 casualty tonight. Lara Del Rio scratched for this one. Christine Nairn, who was probable last weekend, came on as a late sub, off the injury report this week. Nairn on the ball now. Looking in Zadorsky. Huster. Daly off the steal, touched on by Brooks. Now it's Bryan for Andressa. The left wing, and Obugagu will be unable to run it down. Throw for the Spirit.
And that's exactly what I was talking about a minute or two ago. Force the Spirit to be good, out of their midfield and out of their backs, and if they cough it up, the Dash can combine from where they begin. Win it in the midfield and continue to move forward, which is what they've done well so far.
And going back to our discussion earlier, Danielle, about the depth of this team, when you have a lot of good forwards, you can play a little bit more of a pressing game because you know that rest is going to be coming.
Oh yeah, UNC days, playing UNC, they're infamous for doing that.
Bit of a grimace on your face when you're talking about that as well.
Yeah, because I would play a full 90 against them, exhausting. Chasing Heather O'Reilly down the field, not my favorite games.
That's nobody's favorite. Rainbow started on the left side. Now it's to the right behind Stephanie LeBay's goal. And I will refrain from making the pot of gold pun. Goal kick from LeBay. Over a couple of heads. Switch towards Ojai. LeBay sees that all the way and makes the play.
The crazy thing about this wind is it was not even here pregame.
No.
It didn't even start until the whistle, maybe a minute or two before the whistle. But the weather's completely changed in the last 30 minutes.
As I said, even the rainbow has switched
Yeah.
sides. Farquharson back for Krieger. And then back to LeBay. Farquharson winning the header for Joanna Lohman. Krieger in tight quarters for Farquharson, turned over. Brooks has her pass blocked up by Lohman. Amber Brooks was in a tough situation last year in Seattle where that team just had so many good midfielders. She really struggled to find the field. Played just 421 minutes for Seattle last year, but I think she's in a perfect situation now where, when this team's at full strength, she'll be playing behind Carly Wood and Morgan Bryan, just letting them do their thing.
Right.
Nairn in space. Will she try the shot this time? Not yet. Chip in for Matheson too far. And Williams off her line will make the scoop.
I like the idea. Hard place for her to play that. Maybe, 5-10 yards a little bit deeper. Or I guess I should say a little bit further back from goal.
Nairn turns it over to Riquero. Touch forward from Ojai. Into the channel now for Daly. Zadorsky will back off. Daly inside looking for Ojai, and he's her shielding, letting Oyster play, but she gives it right away. Andresa tries the low cross. It's a nice ball to find Bryan, and her volley goes high.
I think Oyster in that moment was trying to connect with Diana Matheson. I think a better ball is just play a longer ball, break the pressure, see if the Spirit can collect the ball further up the field, and not give Morgan Bryan the chance from the top of the 18.
You mentioned Morgan Bryan scoring her first U.S. national team goal in this market. Hasn't scored an NWSO goal left, and she hasn't had probably many looks better than that. Chris Hummer, a very solid member of our broadcast team, just saving my notes at this point.
Our papers are flying everywhere up here.
I have a clipboard with a clip, and it's still flying all over the place. Nairn right for Krieger. Up in the channel for Crystal Dunn. Turns inside. Good tackle, though, from Moros, forcing the Spirit to double back. Rebecca Moros, of course, started her career here as a midfielder, but I really like her as a center back. Reads the game well, smart player.
Yeah, she's so smart and has so much experience. I'm sure she's a great leader from the back.
Switch off the mark for Dunn. Wind might have been a factor in that, and it'll be another Houston throw. Still waiting for our first shot on goal in this one midway through the first half. Really in keeping with what we've seen around the league the last couple weeks, but there's not been a lot of scoring.
And that goes to show, I think the goalkeeping has been fantastic this year in the league all around. So obviously the teams are getting stronger, but I think the goalkeeping is getting better.
Steer there by Pollyanna for Daly. Good mark from Kleiner, allows Zadorsky into the play, but it's turned right over to Pollyanna. Inside now for Ojai, who's offside. Yeah, we've talked before, Danielle, about the strength of backup goalkeepers in this league, let alone the starters. I mean, you just look at today, Henninger and Weiss are two players that have started in this league and played well, and they're the backups tonight for LeBay and for Williams.
And if there continues to be expansion teams, which you hope every year the league's at least able to make one team or bring in one team, that, you know, those types of goalkeepers will have the opportunity to start for a new franchise.
Certainly wonder if the success that Portland has had, that Orlando is having this year, that Houston has had, might make those MLS teams more attracted to making a move.
Right.
Stumble there from Daly, no foul, and it's cleared up for Crystal Dunn. Not a lot of support for Dunn as she goes to work. Goes left for Matheson's a nicely weighted ball for the Canadian. First time left foot across towards the near post is caught by Williams.
A little hard as her body's falling away from the goal, away right from the field for her to get, you know, any sort of pace onto that ball as she's looking across
That
it.
was about 4-on-7 there, as it was Dunn and her strike partners along with Lohman against the goalkeeper, the entire back four in the midfield for Houston. Crystal Dunn, of course, had a hat trick in this fixture last year, all in the first half. But again, that was without Morgan Bryant on the field, and that certainly makes a difference in terms of possession. And, you know, if you lose the ball in midfield and Crystal Dunn's off to the races, it makes it a lot tougher. Foul there on Lohman. Free kick taken quickly by Daly, and too quickly will be brought back.
Yeah.
Of course, Houston victimized a few weeks ago by the quick free kick from Leanne Sanderson in the Orlando game.
I was honestly shocked that they even called that a goal. Kudos to Leanne Sanderson for taking that, taking the opportunity.
Well, I don't know if it was that play or early in the game that Sanderson had asked the referee, if I'm in this situation, can I do this? And he said yes.
Yeah.
So off she went. Andres has served too tall for Rachel Daly and out for a goal kick, thanks to the shielding of Ali Krieger. Speaking of Leanne Sanderson and Orlando, that'll be our next home broadcast all the way on June the 18th when the Pride come to town. It'll be at Portland next week, then at Houston, a week off the international break, at Boston on June the 10th, and then back here for 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Orlando, Sky Blue FC, FC Kansas City, and Chicago.
Unfortunately, the Orlando one is the one that I'm going to be missing because I'm at a family wedding that weekend.
Worcester knocks that out, and of course, much as the story last week with Mark Parsons' return, Ashlyn Harris's comeback will be the headline if the U.S. players are with their teams.
Huge.
I had speculated in preseason as Abu Gagu gets the throw. I had speculated in preseason that Orlando and Washington might be the opener this year. That might be the first game of the Citrus Bowl, and it turned out that they chose Houston for that opener.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Ashlyn Harris loved the 3 years that she was here, but I'm sure she's just loving it even more, being able to play in front of, you know, family and friends.
From Satellite Beach, Florida, Ashlyn Harris. As much as it's hard to replace an Ashlyn Harris, Stephanie LeBay has been really good.
I agree. She's filled that role nicely.
Just allowed the one goal to Maya Hayes and Sky Blue FC a couple Sundays ago at Yersack Field. 3 shutouts on the board. Ojai is onside there. I'm not sure she knew it right away. She kind of was taking that touch a little slowly, but runs out of space there, and it'll be a Spirit goal kick.
I wasn't even sure if she was onside there. Took a peek over to the AR, and the AR's flag stayed down.
My laptop, a very expensive paperweight right now. LeBay towards Farquharson. One instead, though, by Chapman for Houston, and it'll be a Spirit throw.
Look at right now how small the field is being made. I mean, the Spirit need to do a little bit better job at trying to open it up a little bit.
Matheson taking a couple steps back to open up that space a little bit, but you're right. I mean, right now, if you're Rocaro on the ball, you could defend Farquharson and Lohman and come over to help with Dunn as well. And I think that's a good game plan on the road from Houston.
I agree. Make them play in tight spaces. Make the Spirit play in tight spaces. Don't allow them to open up, and don't allow them to use the speed, of their strikers.
And when you have 2 Brazilians and Morgan Bryan, you have some players that can play well in tight spaces. Really good work there from Moros to evade trouble, but gives possession away in the end. Nairn, and a turnover to Rachel Daly. Dash on the move. Kleiner trying to recover. Played through for Upugagu, just off the mark. Oyster in good position, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Very uncharacteristic giveaway there by Christine Nairn. But I think it was a good recovery by Oyster. Oyster did a great job at getting her body into Chioma.
The one win the Dash had in the series was the opener last year at BBVA Compass Stadium, and Megan Oyster in her first professional game had a rare mistake that led to the second goal for Ojai that put that game away. But the story of that game, it was funny reading the recap. Crystal Dunn came on at the half because she had just come back from U.S. national team camp, and the release mentioned, Crystal Dunn playing in a strange position at forward came on and made an impact, and of course she tried to win the MVP and the Golden Boot for the league. But at that point, we didn't know that she could do that at this level. She'd done it a little bit in college, but.
And that was also the game where Allie Krieger
got
her concussion. Yeah.
Yep, and Estelle Johnson had to come on, and really Estelle Johnson put a lock on that role for the rest of the year.
Yep.
But hasn't been able to crack the 11 with Zadorsky and Oyster, the preferred pairing for all 90 minutes of all 4 games so far. Huster giving possession away. Brooks for Ojai. Turned over to Nairn. Left for Farquharson, who switched sides. Making the run to the channel is done. Now she'll check for the ball and get it. Tackle from Moros. Second try for Crystal Dunn. Goes down and draws the late whistle. A free kick the Spirits way.
That looked incredibly painful. Morgan Bryan standing up, just kind of putting her hands up. I do think, obviously there was contact, but I think she made a great play on the ball.
Nairn territory or Matheson territory here? They're talking about
Nairn. Left foot. Left post, inside of the left post.
She hasn't scored a goal in NWSL since July the 18th of last year. Trying to change that now.
She'll curl it around the wall, left foot, left post.
It's like a golf shot on the tee here. Nairn just eyeing this one. Striking it low off the wall.
I was wrong.
It happens, but very rarely.
Rarely. She's. I don't think I've ever seen her hit it into the wall like that. Wasn't really able to get her touch on it to curl it around that outside player in the wall.
There was an anecdote about the great baseball player Willie Mays where he said sometimes he would let a really nice pitch go in the second inning so he'd get it in the ninth when the game was on the line. Maybe Nairn's sandbagging a little bit.
Yeah, sure, yep.
The goal kick from Williams. One in the air by Lohman for the Spirit. Towards Dunn. Moros fighting for it. Lohman will continue it left for Callie Farquharson. Up the line for Dunn. Trying to shake Moros. Gets the cross off. Coming through is Nairn. Gets through to Matheson. Her first touch is heavy. And Chapman, her fellow Canadian, will clear. A rare bad touch from Dinah Matheson in that position.
I don't think Matheson was even expecting it to get past Nairn in that moment.
It's a really good cross.
Yes, it was.
Dunn now popping up on the right side. Left-footed ball in towards the far post over to Lohman. Farquharson was the player waiting for it as well, but won well by the dash. Kleiner keeping it alive, deflected off of Farquharson. It'll knuckle and stand play for her on the left flank. Forced towards the corner by a double team, and it will be a Spirit throw. So Kleiner will take it, and since Caprice Didasco started the opener, it's been Kleiner's spot at left back, and she's quietly done a very nice job.
I think she's gotten better and better every single game. I really do. I'm sure her confidence has probably has continued to grow the more minutes she's been able to play.
Fouled there by Daly, and another good free kick position for the Spirit, and Megan Oyster immediately starts jogging up from a center back position.
And we've actually seen Zadorsky in the preseason go in as a target player as well, but it seems as if she's just going to hang back.
Mentioned it last week. She scored a goal in the Algarve Cup final this year on a back heel off a corner kick.
Yeah, I saw that,
Again, it's Nairn and Matheson looking at it. Two-player wall for Houston. Williams arranging the chess pieces defensively. Now it'll just be Nairn looking at it. Matheson available short. Wouldn't be a bad play here, really. Nairn's lefty service towards Lohman, headed out by Amber Brooks.
And that was perfect positioning for Amber Brooks.
Yep. Someone who came back from Bayern Munich and was in the national team picture at that point, still trying to fight her way back in. Farquharson now. Touched up the side for Dunn. Coming back on Moros, dropping it for Nairn. Right-footed switch. Actually, that's Nairn making the run now. Williams didn't get that one cleanly, but her defense cleans up partially. It was actually Krieger that played that initial ball. Go up for a spirit throw.
I think there's been a slight momentum shift here. I think, you know, the Dashes certainly found themselves on their heels in the last few minutes. But these are the type of opportunities that the Spirit need to finish.
Seems like Crystal Dunn's the one making the pass instead of the one that's on the end of it. And she's done a good job of playmaking certainly this year. Tied for second in the league in assists, but you want her getting that final touch if you can. Good counter here for the Dash. Bryan spraying it left and too far for Ojai. A rare bad pass from her tonight.
I'm wondering if, you know, the way the wind is blowing, the wind just got a little bit behind that. Kind of forcing it out of bounds.
Well, and that ball, Ojai was open, playing on the ground.
Yeah.
Don't need to put it in the air on a windy day like this. Chapman winning the header. Knocked back by Nairn. Andressa. Play on here as Lohman did not foul her. Really good job coming back from Amber Brooks to break that up.
Very good recovery from Amber Brooks.
Dunn reloading for Huster. Nairn turns by two. Works it for Matheson. Left-footed ball in, deflected. Andressa. Off the mark for Bryan. Krieger will win it for Huster. Switch left for Dunn. Wynn definitely getting a hold of that one, allowing Pollyanna to come in and win the header. Abugagu starting the attack. Ojai looking back for Abugagu, but again, Megan Oyster in a reprise of some Pac-12 matchups coming over to beat the former Stanford forward to it. Chapman for Bryan. Towards Daly. Good ball headed by Daly, a bit wide.
I was waiting as that ball was being held up in the air. I was waiting to see, was she just going to wait for it to come down, maybe a little flick over LeBay with her foot, but she chose her head instead.
How tough is that as a goalkeeper to figure out whether to come or get that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you call no man's land. You know, that's kind of a great placement where the goalkeeper doesn't really know. Are they going to come out? Are they going to hold their line? Force that player to take a fantastic touch, but I thought Daly did well to get a piece on it.
Windiest game I ever called was a Big 12 men's quarterfinal in Morgantown, WVU in South Florida. It was so windy. I saw a goal kick where the goal kick, was coming out of the box, just dropped at the edge of the 18, just went straight down.
Yeah.
Not quite that bad tonight, but certainly the wind playing a factor in this one.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing here at the Soccerplex is if it's 90 degrees and sunny elsewhere, it's 80 degrees and windy here. It's just the wind never stops.
Good day to be on the sunny side of the Soccerplex. LeBay restarting play towards Lohman. Again, the wind holding that one about 10 yards, letting Huster get it instead.
And this is where the Spirit have to be smart with these balls out of the back. You know, you gotta, with this wind, you gotta just try to build, because it's gonna continue to hold up, and it's really gonna knock you off your game.
Huster chipping it behind Matheson. Farquharson showing for it, winning it for Lohman. Right, it comes for Nairn. Krieger. Matheson. Nairn. There's Dunn. Stepping on a dime. Going back for Krieger. Now Naren is onside. Right-footed first time cross towards Lohman. Her header is in off the bar. Joanna Lohman scored 2 goals this year. They've both been spectacular.
Yeah, and honestly, the wind just stopped for that. The wind, I think, could have held it up, but that was a phenomenal goal. I actually thought that maybe Christine Naren was slightly offside, but it was a great ball in from Allie Krieger wide to Naren. Naren with the great service into Lohman for the upper 90 far post.
So Christine Naren in her 70th career NWSL appearance with a fine assist.
Yeah, that was a very good assist. A lot of times you ask players when you're looking to serve the ball, low and hard because it's really hard to defend. But when Joanna Lohman's as wide open as she was, why not try to service it and see if she can put something on frame?
Spirit have scored first in 3 games this year. They've won them all. Here it is again, just a really nice ball. Lohman waited for it. Didn't go low like they normally teach you to. Try to go high, and it was the right decision off the bar and in past Lydia Williams.
Usually you say back in the direction that it came from, but she did a good job to finish it. Excuse me, earlier I said far post, near post to where she was. Just slightly under the crossbar. I think it tipped under the crossbar.
This is the 7th time these 2 teams have played. It's the 6th time the Spirit have scored first. 4 wins and a tie.
And I think that's actually a very good goal. I don't think we've seen the best soccer that the Spirit's been able to play, or Houston for that matter, in these first 40 minutes. But I think that's something that is really going to maybe help settle them into this game.
I think last year, Crystal Dunn created a lot of goals herself.
Yeah.
There's been some really good passes, second assists and assists to set up goals this year early on.
And it's not like last year people didn't know who Crystal Dunn was. I just think people didn't realize what she was capable of in that starting forward position last year.
Dash trying to respond as Huster gets the turnover. Drops it back for Oyster. Houston's rallied from behind to win 1 game this year as Lohman was looking for a second and ball knuckled out off the clearance from Pollyanna. That was the game on their opener, April 16th. Kristen Press scored in the 13th minute, and then Daly, Lloyd, and Becky made it 3-1 in favor of Houston. Spirit have yet to trail this year. Led for 223 minutes so far this year and counting now today. Matheson taking the corner as she did all last week with Naren on the bench. Serve in towards the top of the 18 by Farquharson and Lohman both. Krieger on her horse trying to get it. She gets it. Drops it for Huster, who chips it back up the side looking for Krieger. Dunn drops it for Oyster. Right for Krieger. First time ball inside for Crystal Dunn. Dumps it back out wide for Krieger. Stolen and cleared by the dash. Double team there with Moros getting the final touch. Zadorsky back for LeBay. A dangerous spot for goalkeeper, and she'll just dump it wide for throw-in.
And you saw LeBay after just kind of say, just get it out, get it out.
Those 2 hoping to be the pairing for Canada in the Olympics. I think LeBay's got a nice lead on that starting goalkeeper position with Erin McLeod. Now out for that competition, and Zadorsky and Kadisha Buchanan, that's a center back partnership for the next decade for Canada.
Yeah.
And I think being in a league is really going to help Shalina Zadorsky as she tries to fight for that starting spot, playing consistently at a world-class level.
Absolutely. And I think I've seen her get better and better each game. Not that I didn't think she was good coming in. I just didn't know enough about her. But, I think she's just really filled in nicely at that left center back position here for the Spirit and has gotten better each game.
Naren looking for Matheson, but it's stolen by Moros. A little bit more space, I think, for the Spirit since that goal. I don't know, take advantage of it there, though. Rocaro. Williams started to come and let Rocaro have it. With Dunn bearing down, she'll just dump it out for a throw-in. Naren for Dunn. Really nice touch, but nobody was there overlapping to get that on the end of that one. Again, our halftime festivities will have a feature on Shalina Zadorsky and Stephanie LeBay, and then we'll talk with the Washington Post's Stephen Goff about all things WOSO and just soccer in general. Farkason trying to play it back for Dunn. It's blocked out for a corner. There's Ricaro coming over with that deflection. Not a lot of Morgan Bryant on the ball in the last 15 minutes for Houston.
I mean, for Houston, for, like you just said, the last 15 minutes, they really haven't had that much possession. They've actually been on their heels a lot.
Nairn's corner towards the near post, punched by Williams, who didn't know that she had a defender right behind her, and the Spirit will do it again. I think you either let that go or let Andressa head it if you're not sure you can catch it. This has been the trend for the Spirit this year. Is Matheson takes the corners on the left and Nairn takes the corners on the right. Left-footed ball in, knuckling. Krieger trying to fight for it. Touch back towards the top of the 18. Oyster with a good ball to work in Nairn on the side. Nice first touch from Nairn in the box. Playing it short, off the mark for Dunn, and cleared by Moros. Again, the Spirit lead 1-0. Joanna Lohman scoring her second of the year. One header from across from Christine Nairn. Houston took their time with that throw, and so Matheson tried to take it up a little bit further, but was forced back. Farkason now for Matheson. Back here looking to work in Farkason, but not on the same page there, and Houston will get possession back. Switch for Poliana. Oh, high available short. She'll play it to her captain. Kleiner saw it all the way and knocked it out for a throw. Kleiner knocking it down for Huster. Kept alive by Lohman. Touched inside from Dunn. Lohman. Dunn again. 1-on-1 against Ricaro on the side. Last touched by the Spirit, and that will do it for the first half. So just one shot on goal combined for both teams, but the Washington Spirit make it count.
Yeah, I mean, neither team has really forced either of the goalkeepers to have to make a save, and the fact that there's one shot on goal and one goal for the Spirit, 100%, right?
Right. Well, it's like I mentioned in the open, you get an exciting game like last week where both teams have chances and nobody scores. And you get one chance this week and it goes in. That's soccer.
So I think both teams, I don't think each team has really settled into their game yet. I don't think we've seen what, the Dash or the Spirit are capable of. So I'm hoping there's some slight adjustments going into the second half, and maybe, make a couple of changes out on the field and see if both teams can really turn it on. We
mentioned Houston's game plan. We thought was a good one early.
Yeah.
Do they have to change it all now down one?
I mean, I personally don't think that they've had the possession that they probably would like. Going forward, I've seen a lot of, when they have had the possession and they look to combine, through the midfield and into the 18, they've had, chances or possibilities, of getting a good service or a shot off, but they need to try to get back to that. I think there's been a lot of individual play going forward for the Dash. I think they just need to move the ball a little bit quicker and see if they can create opportunities.
Spirit had the stingiest defense in the league this year, putting up a clean sheet in the first half, and a big reason for that success has been the two new Canadians, Stephanie LeBay and Shalina Zadorsky. We learn more about them here at the half. From Nairn territory, she buries it!
Thank you!
Through 4 games, the Washington Spirit are off to the best start in franchise history and enter the weekend on top of the NWSL table. One of the major reasons has been the Spirit's stingy defense, which has allowed a league-low 1 goal, thanks in large part to a pair of Canadians that have hit the ground running at the Plex. Goalkeeper Stephanie LeBay and center back Shalina Zadorsky.
Yeah, it's been incredible. The girls are extremely welcoming, and it's been awesome just to be here in the city and just like back on the field with everyone, getting to know everyone, and just kind of getting more comfortable every day, and it's been really fun, and the locker room's been great to kind of get to know people's personalities off the field, and yeah, it's just been a good learning experience and a fun process to meet everyone.
Yeah, just echoing what Steph said, I think it's been really fun getting to know these talented players and really nice group of girls, and I think the coaching staff is working hard behind the scenes and on the pitch, and I think it's fun working with a new back line, but also having the comfort of a few Canadians on my side, but at the same time, I think it's just really exciting what this group can do this season.
LeBay and Zadorsky joined another Canadian and the Spirit's all-time leading scorer, Diana Matheson, in D.C.
Yeah, I think Diana really is a good leader, and just following her example and what she does on and off the pitch to be a professional, she's a great leader in that way, and I think just making sure we're comfortable and fitting us in with everyone, she's been really great.
For me, I think Dee just kind of let us know that this team is so welcoming and that the team spirit that we have, no pun intended, is really great here. So I think coming in, we knew that the girls were easy to get along with and very welcoming, and that just made the whole transition that much easier.
The three even roomed together.
It's great. I mean, we've been around her for so many years. I've been playing on the national team with her for 8 years now, so I feel like I know her quite well now, but we have a really great relationship, the three of us, and we're getting along well and cooking some great food in the Canadian house.
Yeah, I think just as a younger player, I'm fortunate to be around such great professionals day in and day out, and we have fun at home, and we've made it our own little home, the three of us, so that's really fun too, and it's fun just coming to training and working together, knowing that we have Rio in mind, but that we're here to do a job and have fun with Washington as well.
Both LeBay and Zadorsky played in Europe before coming back to North America, and Zadorsky has a familiar face on the Spirit sidelines. She played for assistant coach Denise Reddy.
I was fortunate to be coached by Denise in Sweden, so lucky me, we're back together, which is great. And I think she kind of touches on it as well, that sometimes the European side, maybe they're more into technique and training that, whereas here we're really intense in training, we're really physical, so I think this team is a mix of both, so it's been real quality so far.
This is my first time back here in the States, and it's kind of the same thing where I noticed in Sweden, a lot of the time it was all about like tactics and technique, and here you can just feel the intensity from the second you step over that white line. The girls are ready to bring it every second, and at the same time, as soon as you step back across the white line after practice, it's laughs and jokes, and the girls can easily, leave that intensity on the field and bring together the good atmosphere off the field. So I think that the combination of that is only going to help us be successful and help us do well this year.
Canada, of course, hosted last year's Women's World Cup. LeBay was part of John Herdman's roster, while Zadorsky, who broke into the team after the summer, experienced the phenomenon as a fan.
It was a pretty special and unique experience. Our first 2 games were in Edmonton, my hometown. So for me to be able to see, all my family and friends at the game there at a World Cup was a pretty unique experience, and I'm extremely blessed to know that that was an opportunity that I was given. And I think just the support that we felt from Canada was something I've never really felt before, and something you can't really put into words, but just kind of that, like looking around, seeing all the Canadian flags and just feeling that support was incredible. And I'm excited to move forward with that support and have the country behind us again this year in Rio. And I guess just to feel, even though we're going to be far away from Canada, to still feel that support and kind of love for us behind us again.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, the support that the country gave to Team Canada, and just seeing the passion of the country getting behind the team and just the growth of women's football as well. I think that was really positive. Obviously heartbreaking to see us go out, but at the same time we're making huge strides, and I think now it's fun knowing that we're going into Rio and hopefully with a country behind us supporting us.
Welcome back to the Barrel Soccerplex. Michael Minnick on set, Daniel Malgary, and a man who's probably regretting his decision to join us on the roof, the Washington Post, Stephen Goff.
At least should have brought a jacket.
It's cooled down quite a bit since kickoff.
Yeah. It feels like October or maybe March up here, but it's a good scene for sure.
Of course, Joanna Lohman is a local. I'm sure you've seen her play at a lot of levels.
Yep.
One of the better goals I've ever seen her score.
That's a nice goal. It's a nice
Yeah.
build-up. Krieger played it through to Nairn. Nairn with the cross, and Lohman's unmarked there and finished as well. So she's done all right here at the Soccerplex so far this season. She had the great goal on opening night last month, and it was kind of a largely uneventful first half, and for the Spirit to end it in that way, not just with a goal, but picking up a little momentum heading into the second half, is a good sign for the home team.
You had a great story on Diana Matheson in the
Thanks.
paper today.
Thank you.
And what was the thing that maybe stuck out to you the most about talking to Diana?
I'd say it's perseverance, for sure. The injuries she's overcome and the years she's gone through soccer, both at the professional and the international level. I mean, this is someone who's, she has a great reputation in Canada. I mean, the goal she scored at the Olympics got them a bronze medal, and she's a hero of sorts. And then for her to suffer that injury, 6-8 months before the World Cup was devastating, followed by a foot injury. So, she came back to the World Cup, but it wasn't the same Diana Matheson that we know. She's a big part of the Spirit, whether she's playing up front on the wing or in central midfield, which is her natural position.
Right.
And I think for any player at this level, perseverance is huge.
Sure.
And they're always going to push. They're always going to challenge themselves to get back to where they were, if not better.
Yeah.
So obviously we've seen that. And I think even tonight she's put on a good show. And maybe not the best we've seen of her, but she has gotten better and better, from last year when she came to now.
Yeah, I mean, she's a player with 181 caps for Canada. She's played in 4 World Cups, a couple of Olympics. So you put her in a setting like this around young players who look up to her and aspire to be her, whether they're American, Canadian, or from somewhere else. I mean, she's certainly a natural leader, and this is someone with, a lot of smarts, a lot of soccer smarts, and she has a degree from Princeton, too. So, she's got a lot going for her.
Double whammy for her, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A good presence out
Sure.
there in many ways.
Sure.
One of the things I didn't know before I read your story was that she plans to, maybe be a GM down the road.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
I thought, and my question, it was kind of a lead-on question about, how are you going to apply your economics degree from
Right.
Princeton to the next step in your life? And she said, she really wanted to stay in soccer, and she'd like to work with either the Canadian Federation or in NWSL. Ideally, if the league expands, someday to Canada. It doesn't seem like something that's going to happen right away, but maybe down the road. And certainly with her leadership qualities, her experience, both in the domestic game, domestic meaning American and Canadian, as well as international, it's a natural fit for sure.
And, we've seen MLS obviously grow into this league a little bit. Vancouver in the W League days had a program, but have now disbanded that. So maybe, like you said, down the road, maybe Vancouver, Toronto, someone like that gets into it.
Toronto certainly has the money behind their MLS team. So does Vancouver and Montreal as well. So I think it would make a lot of sense for the Canadian Federation to push for an NWSL franchise somewhere in the country, and perhaps base some of their key players there, throughout the season.
Visiting with Stephen Goff of the Washington Post here at the half.
And kind of going back to what you just said about that, and that's kind of what you hope to see when these players retire, getting into the game in that manner. Whether it's a GM, whether it's a head coach, whether it's assistant coach, just seeing, Kat Whitehill up at Boston, that's something huge for the women's game.
Yeah, and I think you see it in MLS after all these years now, where you have players like, Ben Olsen at DC United, who played for a long time, has worked into coaching. Not just at the MLS level, but the second division, third division. You're seeing a lot of players involved in coaching and general manager. One of the key, executives of the Los Angeles Galaxy is Chris Klein, who played in MLS for many years. So now, hopefully, you'll see female players in NWSL or in the previous leagues get more into management, decision making, and into coaching.
Sure, and seeing that this is the 4th year of this league, you hope it continues to grow over the next few years and beyond, and maybe there'll be more opportunities for these players.
Yeah, the opportunities I think will be there. The money has to be there, because certainly they have opportunities outside of soccer to make a living or raise a family as well.
Let's move on to the national team. You broke
Sure.
the story this week that the U.S. are planning to play a friendly right before the Olympics
Yeah.
at RFK Stadium. What can you tell us about that?
It's almost done.
Yeah.
It's not official yet, but it looks like the U.S. will play at RFK Stadium probably July 24th, maybe the 23rd or 22nd. They're still squaring that away. The opponent is not set. It could be a team from Europe that's coming over to adapt to the time zone before they go down to Brazil. It could be someone like Canada that joins the U.S. But the send-off game in the nation's capital in Washington D.C. would be fantastic, and I would imagine they'll finalize that in the next week or two.
I was thinking, back to a year ago this time where there was some doubt about the U.S. going into the Women's World Cup.
Sure, absolutely.
I feel like that's not quite there, and Jill Ellis has also been able to turn over this roster and still have that high level of play.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some changes that we see in the Olympics from the World Cup because, Wambach's gone and Holiday
Yep.
and Rapinoe's in a race against time to get back from her injury. So it's going to be different. It's a smaller roster. There's fewer teams in the tournament. There's less margin of error there. Certainly they are the favorite to win the gold medal. They've won 3 in a row. They're going for a 4th. But you got some teams like France that could give them some trouble in the group stage, and that'll kind of dictate where they go and what path they have to follow to get into the medal round.
Stephen Goff, the Washington Post, they must follow for all things soccer. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
My pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
We'll be back with the second half right after this here at the Plex.
Thank you.
We go. A lot of Crystal Dunn popping on both sides of the field, Danielle, early in this game.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Stephen Goff, our halftime guest.
Enjoy the warmth down there.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just the one shot on goal, Danielle, and really not a lot to take out of this half, except for the goal. A lot of through balls, a lot of chances. Crystal Dunn wide, Matheson wide was kind of how the Spirit tried to
Sure.
attack.
And that's what you want to see with what you said earlier about Crystal Dunn moving side to side. If Houston loses track of her, that's going to be a good thing for the Spirit. So her movement off the ball, I think, has been very good this evening.
Here's the goal. A really good build-up from Krieger to Nairn, and then finished by Joanna Lohman. The Penn State connection working well for the Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, that's just really, really hard for – I just don't understand why Joanna Lohman was just so wide open, inside the 18 in that moment. But it was a quality finish.
Yep, second half will come up right after this short break, and we'll have a change for the Spirit as well when we return. Stay with us.
Another meeting? Yep, I brought my A team.
Make the most of the weekend before it's gone.
This is my family. This is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi there.
Be a weekender and book your stay at Hampton. Feel the Hampton.
Welcome back to the Maryland Soccerplex. Michael alongside Danielle Malagari. A goal for Joanna Lohman, the difference so far, and a change for Washington as Jim Gabarra tries to shake things up in the second half.
I didn't actually see what the change was, so I think I was looking at the highlights. What was the change that was
That's
made?
Stefania Benini's on the ball right now.
Okay.
She's on for Callie Farquharson. So
Okay.
just a half for Farquharson tonight after playing last week for 83 minutes. So not quite as effective tonight. So
Thank you.
our cavalry to the rescue here on the broadcast. We have some very heavy barbells, very heavy dumbbells on my notes right now, and Emma Noonan just handed me a very heavy coat.
And
So-
we're wearing our winter jackets that we wore during the blizzard from February.
But hey, we get to call soccer, so I'm not
Yeah,
going to complain too
yeah.
much. Free kick for the Spirit after Benini was fouled. This is a nice coat.
Yeah.
It's very comfy. Nairn teeing it up, looking to pick up a second assist tonight. Towards the top of the 18, cleared by Morgan Bryan. Kleiner chipping in and off the mark. So resetting the lineups for you. The Spirit have LeBay in goal, Kleiner, Zadorsky, Oyster, and Krieger across the back, Nairn, Huster, and Loam in the goal scorer in midfield, Matheson along with the sub Bonini, and Dunn up top. For Houston, the same 11 that started, Williams in goal, Chapman, Moros, Ricaro, and Pauliana across the back, Bryan, Brooks, and Andressa in midfield, Daly, Ohai, and Abu Gagu up top. Yeah, as we were doing that interview, I could see Chris Hummer and Emma Newton scrambling just to save my stuff from, from blowing off the press box. So appreciate their help, and I have my crutches to lean on again. My notes are safe. Nairn in the middle for Zadorsky. Hope you enjoyed that halftime piece on Shalina and Stephanie LeBay. I thought they had some very interesting comments about how they see the Spirit team, Danielle, and how, you know, they're looking towards the Olympics, sure, but they're looking at making this team great as well. Shot from Bonini from deep goes wide.
And what's good about that is obviously the Spirit have gone to the playoffs the last 2 years, but they haven't been able to make it to that next game. So, you know, is this the answer? Who knows? It's still a very young season.
Well, and I think it's important to not be in that 4 seed this year.
Yeah.
Not have to play the number 1 team.
Yeah.
So if you can be the number 1 team and make teams come to you, all the better.
Unless it's not Seattle.
Right.
Because Seattle's kind of been their doom for the last 2 years.
Foul called against the Spirit. And, of course, it'll be a neutral site for the final again this year, and Houston will host. So I'm sure the Dazzlers will love to be in a position where they could potentially play on their home field in a final. Krieger under duress from Daly will knock it out for a throw-in.
I was going to say it's going to be incredibly hot down there at that time of year, but I guess it's summer. It's going to be that way anywhere.
Chapman appealing for the deflection, and her appeal is heard. It'll be a corner for the Dash here in the 49th minute. They try and get back into this game. They've been a second-half team this year, as I alluded to earlier. They've scored 5 of their 6 goals after intermission, including 2 in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Morgan Bryan's corner. Over everybody. Picked up on the other side by Ohai. Drop from Moros. Chapman now. Canadian sets up the lefty service, puts a nice ball in as well. And offside is the call. As Pauliana, the right back, had drifted all the way forward, but too far forward. So the Dash without a shot on goal in the first half, and Randy Waldrum sticking with this front three for now, but Janine Becky is an option. Plenty of attacking options for Houston should Randy Waldrum decide to change it up.
And you have to wonder, is Morgan Bryan going to be going for the full 90 this evening?
The impression I got from talking to Randy before the game was that she probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But down a goal, I'm sure she's going to be a competitor and say, I don't want to come out. I want to help my team get back in this game. Nairn, back for Oyster, just evading Ohai and finding Zadorsky. Continue as Brooks and Loman collide. It's Bonini now on the ball. Bonini with the steal. Pass off the mark, looking for Nairn. Groans from the crowd as it's briefly turned over, but one back.
And that's what you want to see out of your forwards. You know, if they lose the ball, fighting back, but she did a great job at coming into the midfield and competing for that ball. Bonini.
Yeah, she's been all over the place in the first 5 minutes of this half. Started on the left, was in the center, now she's on the right. Nairn through for Matheson in the box, trying to run it down. Goes out and it'll be a goal kick. Last touch by Matheson as she and Moros went in for that ball.
I certainly thought maybe her kind of sliding in could have gotten a touch off of Moros, but Moros did well to keep herself between Matheson and the goal.
This, by the way, is the first time we've seen Estefania Bonini in her Spirit career as a sub. It was something we talked about last week that I think a late sub would be maybe her ideal situation where she can just come on with her skill against the entire team and break things down, but she has a full 45 to do the work tonight.
And usually you don't see that at this level, making a quick change at the half. Maybe give them 10, 15 minutes in the second half. to, I guess, plead their case, see what they're capable of.
Especially with the lead.
Right.
Normally you see that from a team that's down 1-0. Space for Lohman. Pass off the mark for Bonini.
In that moment, maybe you want to see if Lohman can find Kleiner on the width and see if they can be some sort of service from the left flank.
Nairn wants it in the middle. It's Bonini on the ball on the left side. Working it for Huster. Matheson, nice back heel for Bonini. Deflected. Bonini gets a second look at it. Still Bonini with the scoop for Nairn. Nairn picking it up, but a good tackle coming back. And it's cleared by Chapman for Houston. Nice bit of skill there from Bonini.
And that's the flair that she's going to bring, the creativity that she's going to bring to the front line. So sometimes, you know, when Bonini's been, whether she's in the starting lineup or coming off the bench, she kind of gets stuck on that left-hand side, but she's had some really good movement this evening and some really good ideas.
It's been a theme for us all year, Danielle, the depth of this Spirit front group. Where really, you know, when Del Rio went out with injury, Bonini went out with injury, and Matheson was at the World Cup, they pretty much had to break in an entirely new group of forwards, Ortega, players like that, and now they have them all.
Yeah.
Francisco Ortega, who scored in the World Cup last year and was one of the Spirit's best players, hasn't even been able to make the bench yet through 5 games.
And I'm sure that's somewhat frustrating for her, but there's got to be some sort of reason. We're not there at training every day. We don't know the product that she's putting out on the field.
Ball out for a Spirit throw. Yeah, the scratches tonight for the Spirit are Laura Del Rio, who's injured, and Francisco Ortega. And Houston's got, of course, a pair of injuries, and Melissa Henderson and most notably Carly Lloyd unavailable tonight.
What, did he call a handball? We thought it was a throw-in.
Will be a free kick right on the fringe of that sideline. Over Lohman and out for a goal kick. You said it in the first half, the wind died just long enough for Joanna Lohman to score that goal.
And it's picked back up again.
And it's back. Williams had to reset that goal kick because the wind blew it out of the 6-yard box. Now she will hit it long. One by Nairn. Rubagu unable to run that one down. Second chance. One by Zadorsky. Andressa. Pauliana overlapping. Cross in towards Daly. Headed out cleanly by Oyster. Pauliana will try again. One by Lohman for Bonini. Now she'll run it Andressa. Brazil against Argentina. And out for a throw for Brazil / the Houston Dash.
I think this game has brought a completely different pace to it as from last week when Portland was here. This is a completely different, not a different Spirit squad, obviously, but just the pace of the game has changed significantly.
This is chess. Last week was speed chess.
Yeah.
We had 2 coaches that know each other well, have coached against each other for several years in Parsons and Gabara, and you know, both teams just went at each other. And that was something Jim Gabara mentioned in pregame, was how happy he was with how his team dealt with that high pace and playing a press. Different challenge tonight, and they've passed it so far, defending cleanly, still not allowing a shot on goal, and finishing the one chance that went Joanna Lohman's way. The wind has certainly been a factor with the 5 combined corners for these 2 teams, not allowing a shot on goal from any of them. Matheson. Can't find Nairn, a throw for Houston. I think this is an important month for the Spirit, with 2 against Houston and 2 against Portland. To get out of the home legs, if you will, with a win and a tie would be very good. But a lot of work to do still on this one. Andressa. Step for step with Joanna Lohman. Through looking for Ojai. Cleaned up by Kleiner and out for a throw-in. Pauliana will come over to take. Part of Brazil's World Cup setup, and I'm sure she'll be in the mix for the Olympics on her home soil in a couple of months in Rio. of that coverage as Brian passes it back will be brought to you by DC's own Sebastian Salazar, the former voice of the Dash. There's another story that Stephen Goff broke this week that I didn't get a chance to talk to him about, but very happy for Sebi, who's a great guy, my former broadcast partner with the Freedom for 1 year.
Yeah.
Take me with you, please. Slip from Lohman, but she wins it back off of Amber Brooks. That was a vital tackle.
Yeah. And typically, sometimes that could have been called for, playing on the ground. Sometimes that's a foul. She did a great job at just kind of recovering from her little mistake.
Yeah, usually if you fall, you're in a group of players. She was pretty free and clear, and so she just stuck a foot out and won that ball.
And I don't think Amber Brooks was even expecting her to get a leg out in that situation.
Denise O'Sullivan, the Irish international who really changed things for Houston last week, has her card in. She'll be the first chance for Randy Waldrum tonight. Came on in a 0-0 game against FC Kansas City last week. Scored a goal herself in the 69th minute. And then played a role in the one a minute later. They made it 2-0. Yael Averbush getting a penalty back late for FC Kansas City, but Houston getting precious 3 points on the road. Done. Nairn. First time right-footed shot blocked by Alyssa Chapman.
And Alyssa Chapman did a great job because I think if she wouldn't have been there, I think it would have had to be an incredible save from Williams.
Good outlet to Abu Bagu. Left for Morgan Bryant. Marked by Matheson. Ojai. Lister stands her ground well, but commits the foul, and Lister shrugs her shoulders and says, that was pretty clean. But
yeah, and you hear all the substitutes for the Dash complaining about it. It was called, just not right away.
It'll be Andressa coming off for O'Sullivan, so be interesting to see if that's a switch in the midfield, or maybe you're going to move somebody back a line. Will come in the 59th minute. Denise O'Sullivan making her third appearance for the Dash, the second as a sub. So one change made both ways. This free kick's going to go the Spirits' way. Interesting.
What?
Not sure what happened there, and Ojai, I think, is not sure either.
And we're not. Not really sure.
I mean, I think everybody thought
certainly
the Spirit were going to have to defend a free kick.
It looked as if maybe they were calling offsides first. I don't know. He just pointed across the field.
I don't think so, because Lister was right on her back.
Yeah, not offsides. Huh.
Elvis just refs the building. If I got a chance to use it. Makes the call the other way. Ugubagu bringing the defensive work in, winning the ball. Becca Moros looking for Ojai. Trying to turn on Krieger. Finds the feet of Morgan Bryan. Brooks. Chip right. Poliana. Space for the Brazilian. Early ball played towards Daly. Won by Oyster down. Lohman picks up the second ball. So it looks like it will be O'Sullivan in the center of that midfield next to Bryan, and with Brooks behind them. Front three still the same for Houston.
I'm still trying to figure out what that what that call was for Megan Oyster.
Nice ball from Lohman for Dunn. Nairn. Krieger roll upping right. It comes for Ali Krieger. Chipping it back across the face. Matheson with the turn. Blocked. The volley from Lohman is over.
Unfortunate contact there for Lohman. Just got, well, I would say she got incredibly underneath it, and as soon as it left her foot, you could tell how unhappy she was with the contact.
Spirit getting a couple of subs loose, and two are definitely defensive in nature. Caprice Didasco and Whitney Church. Shayna Williams is the other player warming up, and we mentioned her before and praised her for her work defensively as a forward, so even she could be someone that you bring on in the last half hour to keep a 1-0 lead. That's exactly what she did at Sky Blue. Came on as a sub with its Spirit leading in the second half. Spirit throw. Dunn turning on a dime in the box. Sets up the left foot. Has her shot blocked. Bonini dropping it for Huster. Popped up for Kleiner. Bonini. Lohman. Kleiner. Nobody home at the far post. It was a good cross, but nobody there. And it trickles out for a goal kick.
I'm not sure anybody knew that if Kleiner was even going to be able to get that service off. And there's absolutely no movement inside the 18 for the Spirit.
Joanna Woolman's header late in the first half, the difference in this one. Spirit looking to pick up their 5th win in 7 tries all time against the Houston Dash. Undefeated here, 3 wins and 3 tries. Turnover to Daly. Ojai for O'Sullivan, touching it by Huster. Daly at the top of the 18. Back again for O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's right-footed shot deflected on the way through by Tori Huster, and LeBay will make the easy play.
And that's not somebody you want to leave open at the top of the 18. O'Sullivan, she's proven what she's capable of, and Huster did a good job to at least get some sort of body part in.
I think one of the questions I had entering the season, Danielle, was Tori Huster's dip last year because of injury or because she just had lost a little bit?
Yeah.
It was because of injury. She's been very good this year.
I 100% agree. And that's actually, I was thinking that same thing at the beginning of the game because I think, with her injury, you always lose a little bit of confidence. And she certainly seems to have gained that back over the course of, these first couple of games this season.
Worcester commits the foul this time, and I think we're a little bit more sure about this one.
Yep.
It'll be Houston's free kick.
Definitely.
Alicia Chapman, the Canadian, will step off and let Moros take it. Short for Ojai. Back again for Chapman. Morgan Bryan been pushed pretty wide in the second half. Ojai appeal for offside, and it's given. Free kick for the Spirit. Still just 1 shot on goal both ways. 3 corners for Washington, 2 for Houston. The Spirit trying to see off a 1-0 victory here. Pass off the mark intended for Bonini. Brooks. Pollyanna. O'Sullivan. Back again for Pollyanna. One of the more sustained possessions the Dash have had all night. Chip up the right side, though, won by Kleiner, and that'll break the spell. O'Sullivan. Chapman. Daly. Inside for Morgan Bryan. Rocchero. That'll be a foul against the Spirits, Alyssa Kleiner. Free kick for Houston. AR on the far side, waving the flag to show that it was a foul instead of a ball out, and a yellow shown as well to Alyssa Kleiner.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking is the yellow was shown because she really had no chance on the ball. The ball was well beyond, both players, both on the Dash and on the Spirit when Kleiner made that tackle.
First booking for Kleiner this year. In fact, she hadn't committed a single foul entering play today.
Wow. And this is going to be a very dangerous set piece. This is, a great area for a long service to the far post, which is to be expected. Because look, Daly's sitting right there, right behind Krieger unmarked. Not even sure if Krieger's aware that she's there.
Abubagu with the serve towards the far post, towards Daly, and caught by Stephanie LeBay. Oyster. Huster now. Shipping into no man's land and out for a throw-in.
Seems as if right now the Spirit are in a little bit of a panic mode. They've lost a little bit of their possession. They're kind of rushing plays out of the back. They need to just settle back into their game.
Early service towards Daly. For Chapman now. Crossing towards the far post, headed out by Huster. Volley from Daly goes inches wide, and that was the best chance by far Houston's had all day.
And this is all part of the game. The momentum has shifted a little bit. The Spirit are on their heels. The Dash have kind of stepped up a little bit, putting a little bit more pressure going forward. And this is something that can easily shift again. But I do like the energy that I'm seeing from the Dash.
Goal kick towards Lohman, won instead by Brooks for Houston. Bubagu taken away by Lohman. Dunn on the move. Bonini to her left. Plays it for Estefania Bonini. Bonini in the box. Has her chance blocked and cleared by Roccaro.
If Bonini would have just let that roll across her body, I think she would have had a fair look on frame with her left foot.
Dunn. Back for Houston. Bonini's still looking for her first NWSL goal. I think once she gets it, she'll get a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
Missed a golden opportunity against Boston in the opener very early on. Krieger has her cross blocked by Chapman. Should be a Spirit corner.
It almost looked like it was a slight mishit by Krieger. It looked like she lost her footing and just kind of hit off the outside of her foot.
And it is a goal kick. Dash readying their second change, and it looks like it is Janine Becky, the Canadian international via Texas Tech. Morgan Bryan. Bubagu wants it short, she'll get it. They'll put the ball off of Huster. Ball's obligingly to Diana Matheson off the deflection. She'll drop it for Tori Huster.
And that's the dirty work we were talking about earlier that Tori Huster is capable of as that holding midfield role. Abu Gagu's name is numbers on the subboard, so it looks like she'll be the change once all the Which
eyes
is
are
shocking
dotted.
because I've actually liked what she's done in the last 10 minutes or so. She's checked back for balls in the midfield, tried to create things going forward.
Matheson loose on the right side, sliding to keep that attack alive, and then bad luck there as Morelos clears it right off of her for a goal kick.
Yeah, and she's also gotten back defensively. She, made her run there when Crystal Dunn was off to the races.
I was going to agree with you and make the exact point you made about checking back.
Yeah.
It seems like those forwards at times have been isolated. Daly's been a nice final target, but not getting a lot of the ball at her feet right now. O'Sullivan's been a spark since coming on. Going direct, looking for Ohio, but Oyster, who's had a good match, heads that one out. Bryan, regrouping line. Lapping. Has Krieger will work in Allie Krieger, but the pass off the mark. Chapman gets a foot in. It goes out for a Spirit throw. We'll see the change now. The rookie Janine Becky for Chioma Abugagu. Becky has a goal in the year, scored that third goal in the 3-1 win over Chicago in the Dash's opener. Fighting her way very much in the Canadian national team picture. Chip through, and that'll be harmless for Lydia Williams. And we talked with Stephen Goff at the half about the job that Jill Ellis has done in transition to bring Crystal Dunn fully in, to bring the likes of Mallory Pugh and Lindsay Horan. Same with Canada, where Zadorsky's emerged since the World Cup. Becky's emerged since the World Cup.
Yeah. And I mean, what I really like to see, especially with the women's national team, just what Mallory Pugh's able to do at such a young age. I mean, she's just got such a bright future ahead of her.
The Bay offer line, and when the oral history of this season's done in 20 years, by some great WOSO writer, I'm curious to hear Mark Parsons tell the real story of what happened on draft day when the Thorns traded up to get that first spot in the allocation order. Just to use a layman's term, and the thought was they were going to try and get Mallory Pugh to turn pro. It hasn't happened yet, but they still hold that spot.
And good for her because college is a really great time, and you make great friends with your teammates. And obviously, she's proven she can play at this level with the women's national team. And the fact that she chose to go on to the not a little bit hard before. Be a little bit.
2-on-2, Dunn in the box, Dunn shot, great save from Lydia Williams.
What a great save.
Made herself big and came up big.
Yes, she did. And that's been so consistent of her all year. She's always made those plays. I mean, that's a really tough giveaway in the center of the field, especially to Crystal Dunn, and Lydia Williams proves her worth.
It's one of the challenges for a goalkeeper. You're kind of cold all game, and then when the moment comes, you got to be ready. Just the second shot on goal for the Spirit, so her first save comes 73 minutes in a 1-0 game. Crowd wanted a foul there as Matheson was tangled up with, but we'll continue. I think this has been Oyster's best performance of the year.
Yeah.
She's been really good. Won a lot of balls in the air. Starting the attack here as Bonini brings it forward. Dunn. Right. Woman and Krieger say, I got it, you take it. It'll be Krieger. Bonini sets up the left foot. Bonini still dancing. Bonini inside for Dunn. Good turn from Dunn. Dunn shot it. Another great save from Lydia Williams.
Lydia Williams is certainly being called upon right now, and she's proving what she's capable of. 2, I think, point-blank saves against Crystal Dunn in the last 2 minutes here.
Well, we asked her Morgan Bryan would go 90. She won't. It'll be Cammie Privet summoned in the 75th minute by Randy Waldrum. Last change for Houston. Immediately put to work defending a corner is Cammie Privet. Right side, which means a left-footed Nairn serve for the Spirit on the set piece. Williams does well again, sprawling out with the right hand to knock it out for a corner as it was coming right towards Allie Krieger on that serve. So it'll be Matheson's turn this time from the left side. The Spirit will take their time, and you have to figure if Jim Barry doesn't want to make a change, those 2 subs will be time wasters very late.
Yeah. We saw it last week with Mark Parsons making a sub in the last, in stoppage time.
This serve from Matheson, and the win got that one. It wasn't even in touch, out for a goal kick. Yeah, Meg Morris making a cameo appearance last week to see off a 0-0 tie with the Thorns a player down.
And those are the chances that we were talking about earlier in the game that the Spirit really need to try to capitalize on. You know, the 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Obviously, Crystal Dunn is known to be able to finish those, but Lydia Williams has certainly proven what she's capable of this evening.
Ohio was offside there. That's why the Spirit will get a free kick. More gamesmanship here as LeBay will come up and take the free kick. I wouldn't necessarily do this with a 1-goal lead. 8 yards behind midfield, but LeBay serves it right to Joanna Lohman, flicked on. So it's a good ball. What do I know? Zadorsky. Nice footwork from Lohman. Walking the tightrope on the sideline. Dropping it now for Estefania Bonini. Bonini dodges one tackle. Plays it square for Tori Huster. Huster beats O'Sullivan. Finds Bonini. Gets it back. Huster with the rip, and it goes wide.
We don't get to see that often from Tori Huster, but I like the little combination with Bonini. Tori Huster did a great job at getting herself out of trouble and then finding Bonini for the 1-2 in the shot, the left foot.
We mentioned in the open the game Crystal Dunn had, heading goal disallowed, hitting the post. Nair misses 2 chances. Tori Huster had a great chance that Adriana Franch made a good save on last week. Becky, space to shoot, bends it towards the far post, and not a bad idea in that win.
Not at all. I certainly appreciate the effort there from Becky, trying to curl it far post around LeBay.
Bend it like Becky, I guess. Just about.
You and your puns this evening, good. I like it.
I've been reading the Spirit Twitter way too much.
Yeah.
Privet winning the header for Houston. Storsky picking up the second ball for the Spirit. Forward for Matheson, who shields very well. Excuse me, that's Bonini playing it up the line for Dunn. Stolen away. Kleiner with some hard work there, knocking it out for a throw in. Dunn. Bonini. Shaking Becky. Getting it back off the deflection. Playing it up the line now for Crystal Dunn. Matheson wants it in space. She'll get it. Matheson in the box. Time to touch it around Chapman. And Canadian on Canadian, the defender knows what to do.
Yeah,
Knocks it out for a corner.
I'm actually surprised that she was on sides there. It looked like she was slightly beyond the back line for Houston. I kept looking to the AR to see if the flag was up, but play on.
Yeah, going to be dangerous for Houston the last 15 minutes of this one to make sure they don't commit too much and give up that counter for Matheson and Dunn and Bonini. Matheson will take this corner from the left side, right-footed. Tori Huster's unmarked right now. Towards the far post, it comes, and a catch by Williams as Oyster was bearing down on her. And again, one of those unsung moments. Tori Huster was kind of the secondary target on that, immediately sprinting back to not allow Rachel Daly to be the outlet for that role from Lydia Williams.
Yeah, she certainly covered well for Allie Krieger coming back from the corner.
Oyster giving it away to Ojai, but getting a foot right back in. Huster slides it away perfectly to Bonini. Dunn will get it instead. Pushed and fouled by Amber Brooks. Spirit have 2 changes left, and Whitney Church is the only player outside of the coaching box right now. She came on as a late sub against Western New York in this kind of situation to kill off a win.
And she's mostly been playing in that holding midfield role, so you got to wonder who. I don't think Tori Huster would be coming out. Tori Huster's has had a very good game.
The serve from Krieger towards Bonini on the left side.
Maybe Nairn's not going to be able to go the full 90.
That could be. I mean, I was thinking if you're going to take a forward off, you're really going to take Matheson or Dunn off in this game? I'm not sure you would.
No. You know, I could certainly see just with this being the first full 90 for Nairn since her injury, maybe sliding Church in the middle and then Huster and her being kind of 2 holding mids, kind of protecting the lead, protecting, the space in front of the back four for the Spirit.
Another corner for the Spirit, and from Matheson from the left side, be a right-footed serve. Nairn sneaking in right now unmarked. Trying to set a pick for Krieger, and it comes in towards Dunn. First shot is blocked and cleared finally. Kleiner playing safety, works it up for Nairn. Pressure from Privet wins the throw in for Houston. Pauliano looking to take it. Up the line, back heeled by Ojai. It's a nice ball to find O'Sullivan. Collision there between O'Sullivan and Zadorsky. And Becky knew that she wasn't going to run that one down and let it roll for LeBay. And she'll prevent LeBay from holding it for the next 30 seconds. LeBay's punt towards Bonini. Pulled up in the wind and won by Brooks. Now it's Krieger into space for Crystal Dunn. And off the mark. Whitney Church is getting instructions from Denise Reddy on the Spirit bench. Looks like she'll be the second change. Dash will try again. Slip card's been handed in to the 4th official. Zadorsky beating Daly to that ball and finally being fouled. Zadorsky saying, what was that?
I think Houston was asking for a handball, when Zadorsky first won the 50-50. But it looked almost as if it hit her hip, not even close to being her hand.
Nairn's number is on the board. They're not going to allow the change to be made quite yet. Nairn was ready to go. she was already off the sideline. Giveaway now. It's done. Moros atoning for her mistake, holding her ground and winning that ball. Nairn for Dunn. Stolen by Daly. Got to feel if there's something coming for Houston, Daly's going to be the one that's going to provide it.
Or O'Sullivan. I think as soon as O'Sullivan came on, the energy kind of shifted, but I think it's kind of shifted back towards towards the Spirit in the last 5 minutes or so.
See the change made now, so Christine Nairn in her 44th straight appearance will be the player that makes way, and of course with Jen Buskowski playing her last match last night. Next week Nairn will officially take over as the all-time leader, actually not all-time leader, but current leader in consecutive appearances when she plays against Portland. So,
and consistent appearances. She's just been great, you know, all 3 seasons that she's been here for the Spirit.
So, I mean, we talked about it. Church's role here is just to sit in front of that back four and kill this game off. Of course, the starter at outside back for the Spirit, and a good one in her rookie campaign last year, but you're not going to hold off Allie Krieger. Krieger doing that header for Church. Touch now for Benini. Becky doing the defensive work, forcing Benini back. Turn inside from Estefania Benini to the feet of Dunn. Couldn't quite make that one work. You can see that Dunn and Benini just love playing off each other with those little touches.
But Becca Morris did a really good job at standing Crystal Dunn up and not allowing her to get that little flick into Benini's run.
I think Williams has clearly been the player of the game for Houston, but Moros might be choice number 2.
Yeah, she's had a very good game.
Brooks as well has been solid. Problem has been that front group, with the exception of Daly, who had a half chance, really has not had much of an impact on this game so far. Throw for Alyssa Kleiner as the Spirit wastes precious seconds here in the 85th minute. Don't think we'll get much stoppage time from this one. No goals, couple subs, no injuries to speak of yet.
Knock on wood, no injuries.
Matheson, Bonini. Inside for Matheson. Again for Bonini. Chip now into space for Joanna Lohman. Cross back, handled by O'Sullivan and cleared. Posting up well is Ojai. Lays it off. Kleiner recovering well against Brooks. Plays in the middle for Megan Oyster. Oyster under pressure. Not sure she realizes it, but gets the ball away just in time. Poliana knocking it forward now for Houston as they regroup, but Houston gets a foot in. Now Bonini. Sliding it in for Dunn. Perfect ball. Dunn with the sliding shot just wide of the near post.
And we talked earlier about a ball that, you know, Crystal Dunn took a big touch that she wasn't able to get on. I wasn't even sure if she was going to be able to get on that, but of course proved me wrong.
Lohman the goal scorer for Bonini. Dunn waiting for the right moment to make the run. Bonini will take it herself for now. Bonini's right-footed shot, and Williams got a piece of that one too.
Certainly, yep.
The Australian's been excellent to keep this game 1-0. And the ball has been retrieved on Spirit Hill, and the tackle finally made.
and I have really actually liked this change that they've made for Bonini coming on at halftime. I think she's tiring out the back line of the Dash. She's running all over the place.
Dan Snyder's on the phone for that young man who just caught that wild shot on Spirit Hill. The serve from Matheson right into the gloves of Williams.
See, I think Katie Stengel might be the next, the final sub here for the Spirit. So you're warming up at the end of the benches.
Bonini keeps it somehow and finds Church, who gives it right away. Another vital block there from Joe Lohman to keep Becky from starting the counter for Ojai. Now the Spirit will regroup through Zadorsky. Bonini stripped. In the middle comes for O'Sullivan. Chips it forward hopefully. Oyster brings it down and gives it away. Ojai. Privet. Now Becky. Marked by Kleiner. Tried to touch it by Alyssa Kleiner. Kleiner, though, quicker. Knocks it out for a throw. Still, a net positive for the Dash. Can set something up here in the 88th minute. Poliana will throw it back to Privet. Pressure by Crystal Dunn and forced back. Left-footed cross is a good idea to try and pick out Ojai. Battling Krieger. Krieger will clear. Katie Stingle's just about ready to go. Moros, headed by Krieger. Brought down by Daly. Played left for Ojai and knocked out by Krieger. Matheson's numbers on the board for Katie Stingle for the moment. And that's going to be a yellow for Krieger for time wasting. She'll take it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Wasting a little bit more time.
Also allow the change to be
Yeah.
made. Boards up. And I believe they will allow the change to be made. I thought they were going to say no.
Yeah.
You can't make a sub when you just got a yellow.
Well,
but-
ultimately, he has the ability to add the time, so just
Right.
make the sub.
Well, and I'm sure Tori Huster's case there was we were expecting the sub. That's why
Yeah.
Ali held the ball.
Yeah.
Which might not have been the reason, but it's a decent excuse. Volley clear by Huster. Chapman will let it roll for a throw. So everybody's used their changes. This will be the 22 to finish. Spirit trying to see off a 1-0 win. Courtesy of Joanna Woman's header. But a chance now for Becky. Step for step with Zadorsky. Lays it off. O'Sullivan shot his block. That might have been a handball, but
Yeah.
it's not called.
Yeah, you don't see anybody arguing it, for the dash on the field, but it certainly looked like it from here.
Krieger just a step quicker than Ojai to that ball. Church for Dunn. Whitney Church fouled behind the play by Rachel Dale. It'll be a free kick for the Spirit. Chance to waste more time. We're into stoppage time now. Looks like 3 minutes will be the signal, and it is.
And I think at this point for the dash, it's just kind of desperation mode. Try to send everything forward, do as much as you can to kind of put the back line for the Spirit on their heels, which they've actually had a hard time clearing some of these services that have gone in behind them because of the wind.
Ojai trying to turn. She's fouled by Lohman. Certainly a better situation for the dash as Ojai was going 1-on-3 there.
It's a professional foul. You certainly want to slow down the attack of Houston.
Becca Morris says, everybody get forward. Brooks will serve it in. Gets by O'Sullivan. Touched by Zadorsky. Headed by Oyster. Pollyanna battling Bonini. Juggling it up but giving it right away to Alyssa Kleiner, who pops it up high into the night sky. Stingle can't keep it in play. About a minute into the 3 minutes of stoppage time prescribed by the fourth official. Ball off the mark intended for Ojai. And more time to kill for Alyssa Kleiner in the Spirit. O'Sullivan's chip, headed by Huster. Popped up by Lohman, still loose. Some distress now for Daly as she might have taken a boot on the way through. We'll continue. Becky playing it through. And Krieger will just knock it clear. For safety just as much as anything. They'll immediately raid the trainer onto the field.
I'm not even really sure what happened in that kind of tangle.
I mean, there definitely was some higher than normal boots there, but I don't think it was anything dirty. Like I said, it just might have been a graze or something like that, but certainly enough that Rachel Daly's going to be tended to right now. You surprised at all that the two coaches aren't talking to their players right now and telling them what to do the next minute or two to finish this one off?
I think it's pretty clear, for both teams. Desperation mode for the dash, everything forward. Try to, hit it in, see if it can knock off somebody, see if you can get a lucky opportunity, and for the Spirit, just be smart. Clearance, get everything out, just clear the ball, safety out of the back.
Again, the dash have used all three substitutes, so they'll have to play one down if Daly can't continue. Being helped up right now by the dash trainers as well as Becky and high, and now she'll be helped off.
Oh, so it's an ankle or a knee? I'd have to kind of see that.
Looks like she's definitely not putting weight on the right
No.
leg.
You never want to see that.
She's trying her best to put weight on it, but being helped off by 2 members of the Dash staff right now.
Whatever it is, we obviously hope it's nothing serious.
You hate it to happen to anybody, but especially someone who's really come onto the scene in the league this year and made an impact and a very fun player to watch. Rachel Daly. When we resume, it'll be a Dash throw on the far side as Daly makes her way to the sideline and gets a round of applause from the crowd here at the Plex. Back underway now. A handball maybe on Woman and a dangerous free kick for the Dash in the final dying embers of this one.
And I actually think an argument, you know, Spirit might have a little bit of argument here. It seemed as if he allowed the Dash players to make that call. He waited for the Dash to yell for a handball to blow the whistle.
It'll be a 2-player wall for the Spirit. The serve in towards the middle. Oyster with another vital header, and then Dunn clears it partially. Moros shipping it back in the mixer, and Stephanie LeBay will have no problem with that one.
You have to think we have about maybe 90 seconds left, 60 seconds left with the injury.
Crystal Dunn runs out of space on the sideline. Throw for Houston. Dash have to hurry. Here's Becky. Oyster with another header. Kleiner. Good ball to find Whitney Church in space. She'll turn it right. Ship it up the line. Katie Stingle will run for it. Fresh legs off the bench will corral it in the corner and take it towards the corner flag. Ball inside for Church. Dunn. Spirit will play keep away. Good luck trying to get it off Crystal Dunn's foot there. Throw in for the Spirit. Stengel. Dunn. Church. Stengel finally loses it out to Becky. And that will be the final touch of this one. So the Spirit get 2 home wins so far. Both 1-0. Both in goals by Joanna Woman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Spirit will be satisfied. Obviously, they love the fact that they got 3 points out of this game, but I don't think they'll be satisfied with the performance. I think Lydia Williams had a fantastic game, especially here in the second half. She didn't have to do much. But I think maybe both teams leaving this probably can go to the locker room saying, well, maybe this isn't our best game. You know, we did what we could, but certainly not the best soccer I've seen out of the 2 sides this season.
Spirit, for the first time in franchise history, pitched a 3rd consecutive shutout. Just allowed 2 shots on goal as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for the back line for the Spirit when they've consistently given up a lot of goals over the course of the 4 seasons here, or I guess I should say the 3 prior seasons. But LeBay as well, when called upon, she's made some decent saves and has cut the clean sheet for the Spirit.
Spirit will stay atop the table for at least another week. They're on 13 points now. Houston has 7. Let's jump into highlights now from this one, and it was a game that didn't have a ton of chances, but certainly the Spirit were able to really get some good play from their wide areas, for Matheson and Dunn especially. Slip there gave Houston briefly a chance, but Woman was able to win it back. A lot of good defending, I think, with block shots and people getting in the way of things, making things easier for the goalkeepers. But Lydia Williams really was the story of the second half after Woman's goal in the first half, making a couple big saves. Dash, as you said earlier, Danielle, were most effective when direct, but struggled to find their forwards' feet a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, I think when they leave the field, they're just gonna be like, they're just gonna say to themselves, it wasn't our best. There was not much movement, not much possession going forward for the Dash. And with the talent that they have up top, they certainly should be able to put more shots on frame.
Julian Zadorski getting a little fired up there. Lydia Williams made 3 really big saves. That was the last one, tipping it over the bar from Bonini. Really, the Dash didn't get a lot of traffic around Stephanie LeBay at all. Really didn't make things too hard for her. Both shots on goal, I think, were shots like that where it just was kind of popped up and she was able to catch it.
Yeah.
But this was the difference in the game right here. A great cross from Christine Nairn, point blank header from Joanna Lohman.
Wide open. That can't happen for the Dash, but I'm sure the Spirit are happy that it did.
It's the nice thing about having the likes of Dunn and Matheson. They suck so much attention that Joanna Lohman, Christine Nairn, Tori Huster can sneak in and get those open chances. So, final thoughts on this one, Danielle. The Spirit pocket their 4th win of the year.
I mean, they're continuing to get points regardless. And what Jim Gabera said in your pregame conversation with him is it might not be pretty, but they're getting the results. But they're going to continue to develop and continue to grow. I think a lot of factors were played into tonight's game with the weather, the wind. But sometimes you got to overcome that and do what you can to get the points, and they did.
So Lohman's goal, the difference in this one, the strike for the Spirit's veteran midfielder coming just before the half in the 38th minute. So the Spirit matched the longest unbeaten streak in franchise history at 5. They start at 4-0-1. Again, top of the table with 13 points now, 4-0-1. Houston falls to 2-2-1. Again, our next broadcast doesn't come until next month, as the Spirit will go on the road for the next 3 games, Portland, Houston, and Boston, and then come back to battle Ashlyn Harris, Leanne Sanderson and company on June the 18th. That kickoff at 7 p.m. Eastern time. For Houston, they'll play Orlando next as well, at home next Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. local time for the Dash and the Pride. Once again, the difference tonight, Joanna Lohman's 2nd goal of the season, giving the Spirit their 2nd home win and 4th overall. For Danielle Malguera, our technical team from MCM, I'm Michael Minnick. Good night from the Plex and enjoy the rest of your weekend.